Hey, we're back at the top again today on the road to Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, and it's been a long time since I have started a video like that, and boy does it feel good to be back to doing that. Now then, after the release, a lot of people were a little bit annoyed, but some of them were like, oh yeah, new game, what could it be? What could it have? What features? What could return? What could be new? I think I already said that, but regardless, a lot of people are hoping for things. A lot of people are wanting things. And I know a lot of people are going to be making this style of video. So I'm going to put a little bit of a spin on it. And how I will do that is I'll have top 5 of both of them, hopes and wants. The wants are the ones that are more than likely going to have a good chance of happening, while the hopes are just kind of throwing my hopes down a dark hallway and seeing what ends up sticking. Sticking to what, maybe? I don't know. Use your imagination. Now then, without further ado, let's find out what my hopes and my wants are there. Of course, this is all opinion-based, so if you have a different opinion, let me know in the comment section below of what you hope and you want. Without further ado, let us dive into it. We're gonna kick things off with our number 5 hope, and that is how they're going to deal with the trials and such. Are they going to be using gyms? Are they going to keep the trials? I feel like they can't really use the same trials, because why would you want to recycle the trials? So, my hope is, I wouldn't say they're going to return to gyms, but if it's a different timeline, or in a different dimension, if you say, what would happen if they just went back to gyms for this one? And it's not really a gym in like a building, but like they had it in the same area that the trials took place. Now, it's kind of interesting, but hey, it's, I don't know what you'd call it. Either that, or they just have brand new trials and brand new trial captains. Hey, it's an interesting thing to think of, you know? And for the number 5 thing that I want to see, which will more than likely have a good shot of happening, are more locations, because of course, in the, like, very slim trailer that we got on Tuesday, they mentioned, or rather, they showed something related to, like, they showed all these Pikachus in a location that supposedly nobody knows where that is. So, odds are pretty high for a new location happening. Like, a lot of people are comparing it to Pokemon Black and White, and they had new locations like Verbank City and Aspierta and I can't even, Flocacy Town, stuff like that. I can imagine that we're going to have new locations. Now, does that mean brand new islands and locations? I don't know. That is yet to be seen. But it is a good shot of happening. So this hope is a little bit out there. It's the battle frontier that we were teased at in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. They, like, literally taunted us, saying, hey, there's gonna be a battle frontier soon, and it's not gonna be a DLC. It's just, you just have to stare at this design of the battle tower and what it's going to be. Add the battle mace on instead, it'll be great. No, you don't have to taunt us that way. How dare you taunt us that way? You know better. You have a reason for that. And is that because you were going to bring back the battle frontier back from its emerald glory in a future game? It's not Sun and Moon, so when is it? I mean, because do we really want to have another post-game battle style level climbing thing as the battle tree again? Boy, that was frustrating. That was so frustrating. You made people like Shofu shut his game off completely. You had him screaming at the top of his lungs. That's absolutely nuts. Instead of having one location, how about how many locations we had in Emerald, you know? That would be wild. But we get to the more plausible option, that is our number 4 want, and it is a better post-game. And if you know me, I am one of the many people that got completely burned out really quick with the game. I don't know why it was, maybe it was the delay with Pokebank, I am unsure. But the whole thing about catching the Ultra Beasts with Looker and Annabelle, for some reason that just wasn't enough. And I don't know why Pokemon X and Y were a lot better, even though their post-game was pretty much the same, or to an extent non-existent, but still, there has to have been a reason why we didn't get burned out of Pokemon X and Y as fast as we did with Pokemon Sun and Moon, even though they were the first game in the generation, in their own generation. So, how do we fix it? It's gonna be a tough call as I elbow my chair for the 50th time. You're gonna see this and hear this so many times on everybody's hopes and dreams for Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. And that is walking Pokemon. And if you didn't already know, in Pokemon Sun and Moon, they data mined it and saw all of the walking animations for all the Pokemon. So that had to have been planned for something. Now, I'm not saying that this is likely to happen. That's why it's in the hopes section. But it's such a long shot, man. That's why I like Heart Gold and Soul Silver so much. You get to connect with your Pokemon a lot more on a different level, rather than just have your character walking along and it's just by yourself. You just feel lonely. That's it. But imagine, once again, not just in pixel form, but in 3DS 3D. I say that because, of course, if it was on the Switch, it'd be a lot better. But hey, I'm not going to complain. It's a new Pokemon game. But imagine that. Imagine just walking through Alola. Just walking through it with your Pokemon behind you. In full 3D, 3DS 3D splendor. You can talk to it. It'll be great, you know? It's so great. Connect with it. And that's what made Heart Gold and Soul Silver so great. So why not bring that back? So in the trailer, they mentioned new Pokemon. Nintendo and Game Freak's track record with saying new Pokemon for non-new generation games is kind of shoddy. What do you think I mean by that? Well, let's take a look in Black and White 2, for example. They said the same thing about Black and White 2. However, there was a catch. It was for Kyurem Black and Kyurem White, which it's still Kyurem. It's still marked in the Pokedex as Kyurem, but they counted those as new Pokemon, even though we don't count them ourselves. And I see the same thing with Solgaleo and Lunala, but that's not the main thing. That's not my main want that I wanted to talk about. My number 3 wanted feature is more Alolan forms, and it's entirely plausible because it's like in a different alternate timeline where different Pokemon could have made the trip from Kanto. And, I mean, we have Johto making its way back on the Virtual Console, so, I mean, Johto is connected to Kanto, so what about Johto Pokemon? Do you think they will get their shots now? Like, could you imagine oh gosh, I don't even want to think about a Fairy-type Miltank. I'd rather get rolled out by a regular Miltank. You had already had tough time with Whitney's Miltank. Can you imagine if it was a Fairy-type? Exactly. I'm speechless. But I'm still hoping for new Alolan forms. Rather, that's a want. What am I talking about? I don't know! I mean, they did say new Pokemon, but like I said before, their track record is pretty bad. And my number 2 hope is new Pokemon and/or more Megas. Now, we didn't get any new Megas. In fact, we actually were missing a lot of the Mega Stones for, like, a lot of the time through Pokemon Sun and Moon. I'm pretty sure we're still missing some of them to this day. At least from when I'm uploading and or recording this. But I can't imagine that we're going to get new Megas. But it's still, I feel like that's what made X and Y not as burnoutable. And if we can get a few new Pokemon, I mean, it is a new timeline. It is a different alternate reality. We're all clutching onto that one phrase. It's entirely it's not going to be, I don't think it's going to happen. But one can hope. One can hope. And for the love of crap, please fix the Festival Plaza. You don't know how many people dislike the Festival Plaza. Bring back the PSS. If you can bring it up on Rotom Dex's screen, like if that's even an option, have it like Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, where you had 4 different things where you could have like the news, you could have DexNav, you could have the map, you could have, actually I think that was the Pokenav that actually helped us out with that. And then you could have the PSS. Just have that option. Don't have Rotom Dex's face on the bottom screen saying a bunch of things that we definitely don't really need to know. I mean, theoretically that could be the main menu, but then you have menus on there to see like the Pokedex and the PSS. Don't give us the Festival Plaza again, or at least fix it up. Like, there were so many issues with it that I just kept running around going, what do I do? What do I do? They had to mix Joint Avenue and the PSS, and that doesn't really go well. So, here's hoping. This isn't even in the hope section. So what? I just want it to be so bad that I put it in the want section. Is there a problem with that? Now, the number 1 hope and the number 1 want, they're pretty similar to a certain game. Certain Pokemon game, I should add. Now, the first one, the one that I hope for, which is entirely a long shot, is to go back to a previous region. More than likely, I highly doubt it's Unova, or Kalos, or Hoenn, or Sinnoh, or Johto to an extent, and there's one I'm leaving out, and that's Kanto. That's because Lily and Lusamine go to Kanto at the end of Sun and Moon. Now, it's definitely a long shot. So much of a long shot that from the distance of Alola to Kanto that I'm trying to throw this long shot to Kanto, but I don't think it will quite make it. But it would be nice to have a
place other than Alola. Then again, they didn't really do that with Unova. But as well as that, Unova. They sound the same, but Unova was the first region that wasn't really connected to the previous regions, and they actually had a reason. But if Kanto is close enough to Alola that the main character and the mother can visit, I don't see why we can't go to Kanto. I mean, we can just take a ship to Vermilion City. That's still insane. But at this point, it's a long shot. Gotta hope for the best. And oh my word, how many of you were just awestruck in either Pokemon Gold and Silver and Crystal or Heart Gold and Soul Silver when you scaled Mount Silver and found Red? I was ecstatic. It was just an amazing battle where you got to face your former self. Now, not to say that you can't face your former team. You couldn't do that. But it was a feature missing in Black and White 2 that I was really like. Even though they had a feature called Memory Link, linking back to your previous game from Pokemon Black and White. But it would have been amazing in Pokemon Black and White 2 had Memory Link worked that way so you could face your team, your trainer, and your team that you beat N with. Your first clear. How amazing would that have been? You and your Pokemon. Imagine leveling up an insane Pokemon. And it's like, oh, I love this Pokemon. I love my Lycanroc so much. Okay, this is all just in theory, but let's say, oh, I love this Lycanroc. I trained it so well, and all of a sudden in the next game you have to face it, and it's like your biggest nightmare. That'll also teach the people who are like, yeah, I'm gonna beat this game with 6 Mewtwo's, and then I'm just gonna destroy everything. It's not gonna even be a challenge. Well, it's gonna be a challenge, because if this could be a thing, you now have to face 6 Mewtwo's. So congratulations, you played yourself. But I'm still holding out for this, because nothing has met the feeling of facing your former self. Now, it isn't your former team, but imagine if it is your former team. I'm gonna have such a hard time with this. Come on. Oh, if that's true! I can't wait if that's the case. Holding out for the biggest want of all. And with that will actually wrap up our top 5 hopes and wants for Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. This is actually also the first top 5 styled video that I've done without a script. Let me know how I did, because it's very interesting. Also, let me know your wants and hopes for Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon in the comment section below. I will be replying to a lot of things and comparing it to my own opinion, because it's not about me, it's about us, and I'd like to have conversations around here, you know? But with that, though, if you did enjoy this video, don't forget to show your support on the like button by dropping one from the top and subscribing, as we have 25 weeks this time. The Promised Day, November 17th, 2017. That's going to be on week 25, and that is the final week. We have a long road until then, but it's going to be a wild ride, so get right on this newly cleaned bus by hitting the subscribe button, because we have a lot of content coming your way. But with that, though, I want to thank you for watching, and I hope to catch you back on the top on the road to Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, because that's how we do us.